Excuse me. All right. Art follows lunch like dream follows nightmare. The classroom is at the far end of the building and has long south-facing windows. The sun doesn't shine much in Syracuse, so the art room is designed to get every bit of light it can. It is dusty in a clean, dirt kind of way. The floor is layered with dry splotches of paint, the walls plastered with sketches of tormented teenagers and fat puppies, the shelves crowded with clay pots. A radio plays my favorite station. Mr. Freeman is ugly. Big, old, grasshopper body like a stilt-walking circus guy. Nose like a credit card sunk between his eyes, but he smiles at us as we file into class. He is hunched over a spinning pot, his hands muddy red. Welcome to the only class that will teach you how to survive, he says. Welcome to art. I sit at a table close to his desk. Ivy's in this class. She sits by the door. I keep staring at her, trying to make her look at me. That happens in movies. People can feel it when other people stare at them and they just have to turn around and say something. Either Ivy has a great force field or my laser vision isn't very strong. She won't look back at me. I wish I could sit with her. She knows art. Mr. Freeman turns off the wheel and grabs a piece of chalk without washing his hands. Soul, he writes on the board. The clay streaks the word like dried blood. This is where you can find your soul if you dare, where you can touch that part of you that you've never dared look at before. Do not come here and ask me to show you how to draw a face. Ask me to help you find the wind. I sneak a peek behind me. The eyebrow telegraph is flashing fast. This guy is weird. He must see it. He must know what we are thinking. He keeps on talking. He says we will graduate knowing how to read and write because we'll spend 1,000,000 hours learning how to read and write. I could argue that point. Mr. Freeman, why not spend that time on art, painting, sculpting, charcoal, pastel, oils? Are words or numbers more important than images? Who decided this? Does algebra move you to tears? Hands raised, thinking he wants answers. Can the plural possessive express the feelings in your heart? If you don't learn art now, you will never learn to breathe. There is more. For someone who questions the value of words, he sure uses a lot of them. I tune out for a while and come back when he holds up a huge globe that is missing half of the northern hemisphere. Can anyone tell me what this is, he asks. A globe? Ventures a voice in the back. Mr. Freeman rolls his eyes. Was it an expensive sculpture that some kid dropped and he had to pay for it out of his own money? Or they didn't let him graduate, asks another. Mr. Freeman sighs. No imagination. What are you, 13, 14? You've already let them beat your creativity out of you. This is an old globe I used to let my daughters kick around my studio when it was too wet to play outside. One day, Jenny put her foot right through Texas and the U.S. crumbled into the sea. And voila! An idea. This broken ball could be used to express such powerful visions. You could paint a picture of it with people fleeing from the hole, with the wet muzzled dog chewing Alaska. The opportunities are endless. It's almost too much, but you are important enough to give it to. You will each pick a piece of paper out of the globe. He walks around the room so we can pull red scraps from the center of the earth. On the paper, you will find one word, the name of an object. I hope you like it. You will spend the rest of the year learning how to turn that object into a piece of art. You will sculpt it. You will sketch it, paper mache it, carve it. If the computer teacher is talking to me this year, you can use the lab for computer-aided designs. But there's a catch. By the end of the year, you must figure out how to make your object say something, express an emotion, speak to every person who looks at it. Some people groan. My stomach flutters. Can he really let us do this? It sounds like too much fun. He stops at my table. I plunge my hand into the bottom of the globe and fish out my paper. Tree. Tree! It's too easy. I learned how to draw a tree in 2nd grade. I reach in for another piece of paper. Mr. Freeman shakes his head. He says, you just chose your destiny. You can't change it. He pulls a bucket of clay from under the pottery wheel, breaks off fist-sized balls, and tosses one to each of us. Then he turns up the radio and laughs. Welcome to the journey. My Spanish teacher is going to try to get through the entire year without speaking English to us. This is both amusing and useful. Makes it much easier to ignore her. She communicates through exaggerated gestures and play acting. It's like taking a class in charades. She says a sentence in Spanish and puts the back of her hand to her forehead. You have a fever, someone from class calls out. She shakes her head no and repeats the gesture. You feel faint. No. She goes out to the hall and bursts through the door looking busy and distracted. She turns to us, acts surprised to see us, then does the bit with the back of the hand to the forehead. You're lost. You're angry. You're in the wrong school. You're in the wrong country. You're on the wrong planet. She tries one more time and smacks herself so hard on the forehead she staggers a bit. Her forehead is as pink as her lipstick. The guesses continue. You can't believe how many kids are in this class. You forgot how to speak English. You have a migraine. You're going to have a migraine if you don't figure it out. In desperation, she writes a sentence in Spanish on the board. Me sorprende que estoy tan cansada hoy. I obviously can't speak Spanish. No one knows what it says. We don't understand Spanish. That's why we're here. Finally, some brain gets out the Spanish-English dictionary. We spend the rest of the period trying to translate the sentence. When the bell rings, we have gotten as far as to exhaust the day to surprise. I make it through the first 2 weeks of school without a nuclear meltdown. Heather from Ohio sits with me at lunch and calls to talk about English homework. She can talk for hours. All I have to do is prop the phone against my ear and occasionally while I surf the net. Or the cable. Rachel and every other person I've known for 9 years continue to ignore me. I'm getting bumped a lot in the halls. A few times my books were accidentally ripped from my arms and pitched to the floor. I try not to dwell on it. It has to go away eventually. At first, Mom was pretty good about preparing dinners in the morning and sticking them in the fridge, but I knew it would end. I come home to a note that says pizza 5554892. Small tip this time. Clipped to the bill is a $20 bill. My family has a good system. We communicate with notes on the kitchen counter. I write when I need school supplies or a ride to the mall. They write what time they'll be home from work and if I should thaw anything. What else is there to say? Mom is having staff problems again. My mother manages Efforts, a clothing store downtown. Her boss offered her the branch at the mall, but she didn't want it. I think she likes watching the reaction when she says she works in the city. Aren't you afraid, people ask? I would never work there in a million years. Mom loves doing the things that other people are afraid of. She could have been a snake handler. But the downtown location makes it hard to find people to work for her. Daily shoplifters, bums peeing on the front door, and the occasional armed robbery discourage job seekers. Go figure. We are now 2 weeks into September, and she's already thinking Christmas. She has plastic snowflakes and red felt wearing Santas on the brain. If she can't find enough employees for September, she'll be in deep doo-doo when the holiday season hits. I order my dinner at 3:10 and eat it on the white couch. I don't know which parent was having seizures when they bought that couch. The trick to eating on it is to turn the messy side of the cushions up. The couch has 2 personalities. Melinda inhaling pepperoni and mushroom, and no one ever eats in the family room. No, ma'am. I chow and watch TV until I hear Dad's Jeep in the driveway. Flip, flip, flip. Cushions reverse to show their pretty white cheeks, then bolt upstairs. By the time Dad unlocks the door, everything looks the way he wants to see it, and I have vanished.